Okay, seventh period, this review is just for you. Please make sure you are following along. I really want to make sure that y'all get the same opportunities the other classes do. So please make sure you're following along. All right, remember, if you said you would help out the other day, please do so. I believe it was Alexi, it was Dylan, and I feel like there was somebody else. So make sure y'all are really helping each other, okay? Not hurting each other by goofing off. Michael, are you awake? Bradrick, is your head against the board? No? All right, good. Let's get started. Okay, so here on this one, we're starting off with the square root. And because you're starting off with a root, since we're converting, you have to end up with an exponent. So remember, on this one, whatever number's in the crack goes on the bottom. All right, this one over here, again, I'm starting with an exponent, so I'm going to end up with a square root, or a root of some sort, okay? So on this one here, I know I'm going to have a radical. This number's on the bottom, so it goes in the crack, and then 27 to the power of 2. All right, now you do the two that are next to it, and I'm only going to give you about 30 seconds to do it. Should not take you that long if you're doing it. And again, if you need help, make sure you talk to those people around you, and you also ask other people in the class who are supposed to be helping. Okay, so check your work. This is what you should have. This one, x to the power of 5/9, and this one, you should have the fifth root of 18 to the power of 4. Okay, let's look on the bottom here. On these here, this is where we are just simplifying. So here I'm just simplifying. Now, on the ones you're simplifying, you got to make sure you know how large your groups are. So there I know I'm looking for groups of 3. Now, if I put 54 in my calculator, I'm not going to get a nice number. So I'm going to need to break that 54 down. So that gives me 9 and 6. That gives me 3 and 3. And that gives me 3 and 2. All right, now, I also know that I have 7 x's and I have 6 y's. So I'm going to start making my groups of 3. There's one group, so they can come out and play. One group, two group, there's 2 groups. One group and 2 group, there's 2 groups. And now let's see what has to stay in the house. So 2 has to stay in the house, and x has to stay in the house. All right, on the next one, on this one right here, I've got a 3. Now remember, when there's nothing there, there's really a 2, okay? So my groups need to be a 2. So on this one, I still have the 3 from here, and I know I can make 5 groups of 2 out of that, so x to the 5th. All right, now you try the other 2 that are on here, okay? And I'll give you about a minute. All right, and this is what you should have on this one. This one is kind of hard to see. Let me zoom in so y'all can see that a little bit better. That one's had to kind of squeeze that one in. Okay, so again, make sure y'all are helping each other out and you're paying attention. Andrew, if you got a book, make sure you put it away. All right, here we go. Okay, now we're going to actually start solving the equations. So on the equations, remember, you're trying to get the x by itself. And you'll notice at the beginning, the x is kind of trapped underneath there. So in order to free it from that radical, I've got to square it. And whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other side. So here, I'm going to have x minus 2 equals 25. And I'm going to do plus 2 plus 2. And x equals 27. Now, what I was really trying to get y'all to do the other day in class was I needed y'all to make sure you checked every single one of these on the calculator. And I believe I was extremely obnoxious about this, so you should be able to remember that I had asked you to do that. Alright, so here, I'm going to put x minus 2. Okay, and then in y2, I'm going to put the 5. Now I'm going to go to my table, and I'm going to see what I get when x is 27. So I'll just scroll down here. Remember, if you wanted to, you could hit that second window button. Alright, and there it is. I'm correct. It's 5 and 5. Oops, y'all can't see that. That little blur is in the way. Alright, and there you go. That's the answer. Alright, on this one over here, okay, on this one, again, that's all trapped underneath the radical. So I've got to square it, and whatever I do on one side, I got to do to the other. So I have 4x plus 5 equals x squared. Now, because I have this x squared, I need to make this equal 0. So I got to move all of this over here. So minus 4x minus 4x minus 5 minus 5. So I now have 0 equals x squared minus 4x minus 5, and now I've got to factor. Okay, so if I factor this, what two numbers will multiply to get negative 5 and combine to get negative 4? Oh, sorry, that should be a 5. Okay, so this should be a negative 5. So I'm going to have x minus 5 and x plus 1, which means my solutions are x equals 5 and x equals negative 1. Now, again, just like I just talked about, you need to check these in the calculator. You must, because one of them could be an extraneous solution. Alright, so go back to y equals, and everybody should be doing this. If your partner's not doing this, the person next to you, wake them up. Tell them to get their little fingers tippity-tappity. Alright, here we go. So that's what you should have. And, okay, so I'm going to check this one. I'm going to check x is 5. I'm just going to scroll up. Okay, that looks good, right? They're both 5. That's what we want. Okay, so this is definitely an answer. So yay, that's an answer. Okay, now let's check the negative 1. Uh-oh, look at that. One's positive and one's negative. They're not the same. So this is your extraneous solution. Okay, so now you try these two on your own. And I'll give you a few minutes to do that. And again, make sure y'all are working, okay? I don't mind doing this for y'all, like I told you, but please take advantage of it. There shouldn't be any sleeping. There shouldn't be any phones out. You know who you are. I want to make sure y'all get off to a really good start for the 9 weeks. And there it is, x equals 70. And again, check it. Make it equal 0. Make sure, again, you check these. Negative 4 is your extraneous. So this is your answer. That's extraneous. Okay. Let's take a look at these. Alright, on these here, I really just want y'all to use your calculator. So, for instance, on this first one right here, I'm just going to type it in, so x minus 5. And then down here, I'm going to do the square root of x plus 1. Alright, and then I just want you to go to your table, okay? So go to your table and look for a matching pair. Well, that's almost matching. So guess what? Because one of those is negative and one of those is positive, I think y'all can see the calculator better over here. Let's see. Okay, because one of them is negative and one of them is positive, that automatically tells me that x equals 3 is my extraneous solution. Again, because one of them is negative and one of them is positive. The y1, y2, they're opposites of each other. So that's the extraneous. Now I'm going to find out what the real answer is. I'm going to keep on going down, just looking for a pair. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Boom. Those are the same. So x equals 8 would be my real answer. So I want you to repeat the same process when y'all do this one, okay? The exact same process. And again, get help if you need it. Okay, let's take a look over here. All right, on this one here, you'll notice now that we're all of a sudden doing a cube root. So it's the same idea. So in order to get rid of a cube root, I have to cube it. And whatever I do on one side, I do to the other. Okay, so here what I have is I have 27 equals 2 minus 5x, because that cube canceled everything out. I'm just going to start solving it. So minus 2 minus 2, 25 equals negative 5x. Divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5, and x equals negative 5. Done. Alright, the only differences on this one you'll notice, so when y'all do, I want y'all to do these on your own, so these will be done on your own, these two right here, okay? So the thing that I want you to notice on these is that on this one, again, you're going to use the calculator, but on this one you're going to have that one extra step, so you're just going to need to do that minus 5 at first. And then you just go from there. So there, you're just going to end up cubing it, x minus 8 equals 0, plus 8, x equals 8. And again, y'all, what's nice about every single one of these equations is you can use this handy-dandy fancy calculator, okay? So use it. Alright, this one here, again, if you would have typed it in your calculator, this would have been minus 3. Down here would have been 2x minus 7. If I go to my table, there's an answer. Okay? So again, I can tell it's an answer because, there, you can see that. Because the ones are the same, so x equals 4. Okay? And then, so that's my real answer. Now I'm going to look for the extraneous. Let's see. And that could be the only answer. That could be it, y'all. Alright, so that's it. X equals 4. I'm going to look at the graph, though, because you can sometimes also look at the graph and see. I'm just going to double check real quick. So if I do that whole, you can also use the whole second trace intersect. I may end up with a decimal here, actually. Let's see. No? Nothing. Okay. Alright, let's move on. Okay, on this one here, whoops, I think I touched the mouse. Alright, so on this one here, remember these are those fractional exponents. So all I'm going to do on this one is I'm just trying to get this by itself. Okay, that's the goal. So I need to move that 7, so minus 7 minus 7. That gives me x to the power of 2/3 equals 16. And then I'm going to raise it to the power of 3 over 2. And whatever I do on one side, I do on the other side. So all I did, y'all, is I just flipped that and rose it to the power, which means I got to flip it over here. And then in my calculator, if I do 16 to the power of 3 over 2, and y'all cannot see that, so let me fix it. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Nope, there it is. Okay, and then if I hit enter there, I get 64. So x equals 64. Okay, so y'all try this one on your own. Okay, down here on this one, the only difference is instead of like adding or subtracting, you're going to have to divide. Okay, so once I divide that, sorry about that, the light went off, so I had to walk around and make it go back on. Alright, so here, That gives you x to the power of 2/3 equals 36. Alright, and again, that's 2/3, so I'm going to raise it to the power of 3/2, and whatever I do on one side, I'm going to do to the other side. Okay, so now I'm going to type in 36 to the power of 3 divided by 2, and that's going to give me 216. So x equals 216. Alright, now, y'all do these two on your own. So these two right here, okay? And then after that, you should be able to work on the review. And I expect everybody to do it. I expect y'all to be working. You should become, everybody in this class could somehow help you, at least on one or two of them. So there's no excuse for saying you didn't know how to do something. You have to ask somebody for help if you need it. Okay, so erase that one, erase that one. This one here, divided by 3, divided by 3, gives me 32, 4/5, 4/5, 16. Okay, y'all. So at this point, y'all should be good to go. Again, please, y'all, make sure you're following along. This is an example of everything that's on the test. So if you feel good about this, you should feel good about everything. And remember, every single one of these. I'm gonna watch this. Watch, watch, watch. Okay, watch what I'm about to do. Are we watching? All right. So if I take all these questions, whoops, should have gone further. I take every single one of these. Every single one of these can be checked on the calculator. Okay? No excuse. No excuse for not checking your work. Okay? Alright. I know y'all can do it. Do well. I can't wait to see how y'all do. I'll review for a few minutes before the test on Tuesday, but not much. So please take advantage of this time, y'all. Make me proud.